Cover it with your head. Perfect.
Yeah. Dude, I was like, looks like we're live on YouTube, Kenneth.
Yeah.
Yes,
This
we
is
are.
exciting.
Alrighty. So, yes, we get a good laugh. So I hope everybody out there can see us. You know, I tell my wife to send me a text message to see me on YouTube. And I got it.
So cute. I love it.
Well, you say a live event will begin in a few minutes. So,
oh,
yeah,
on YouTube it says it'll begin in a few minutes.
Yes.
There's probably a little lag, for it to connect.
Okay, then. All right. Well, we on Zoom while we're doing YouTube. Okay. So hopefully come through. Well, I'm going to hold you up. I know we got, so we're just going to get started and cross our fingers. So hello, family. Welcome to Live Around Boundless first live Zoom/YouTube show. So hopefully it's live, people watching. So to help me brought it out, we're doing this live show. I have my guest co-host once again, a friend, my sister for another mother, and a father. Isabella, Easy B, Chinopikit, I know, aka Usher Buzz. So welcome again, Easy, to help me out with this.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
yes, definitely. Yes, I like to laugh. Gotta loosen up. I'm all nervous. So my first guest for this live interview, for my second time interviewing her, is a woman that continued to be an inspiration to many people in the running world and outside the running world, also inspiration to me. She has been in many podcasts and YouTube videos, so I'm grateful just for the opportunity for her allowing me to take her some time and just allowing me to interview her. And so she has shown we're putting into work, having a passion for what you do, and no matter how hard it is, that you keep going, your dreams will come true. And no matter how hard it is, I mess up with that. You'll reach the top of the peak of that mountaintop. You just keep going. Yeah, so that mountaintop in life also. So Live Around Boundless family, if y'all with me, is with me live. Let once again welcome Miss Sally McRae to our first live interview at the Live Around Boundless show.
So awesome.
So Sally, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Kenneth. It's good to see you again. Thank you for having me on. That was a very, very sweet intro. I appreciate that.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yes. And so I know you, like I said, you've been on a lot of YouTube podcast show already. So we want to go back and do some more reflection as you're up to it and what you accomplished by winning Badwater 135 2021. And I think my co-host Izzy had the first question for you.
So a lot of us follow you on Instagram. You're amazing, and we love following you. You tell it like it is. You give great inspiration. The yellow runner. If you guys don't follow Sally on Instagram, please do. Always great photos, just real life, and also really cute Nike running gear that you get to see before it comes out, right? We'll talk about that later. Some interesting things that Nike has come out with. But anyway, so we noticed you'd been putting in the training for this Badwater, like you were getting out there on the course ahead of time. Yeah. So for those that may not know or follow you on Instagram, what was the process for you preparing for Badwater physically and mentally? Because this is a mentally tough one too.
Yeah. I had the privilege of being able to run it in 2018. And so I was able to call upon my experience there to really navigate my training for this year. So that was really helpful. It wasn't, I didn't have a great race in 2018, which was also, helpful in really fueling, the fire this year. As I trained, I'd always kind of remember what that experience was like for me in 2018. And so that definitely kept me centered and kept me focused on wanting just to tackle every area that I had either screwed up or failed or hadn't trained in. I hadn't trained for very well in 2018. So, it is two parts, this race. It demands, that you're fit. I think that everyone shows up to Badwater. You're very fit. But you also have to be a student of the course, because, the beauty of Badwater, the unique thing about Badwater, it is, there's not a lot of races in the world that are like this, particularly because of the harsh elements. So, it's not every weekend that you can go and run in 130-degree heat in a totally exposed area that also is probably going to have high wind and 3 mountain passes and go from the desert to, to big mountains. And so I think what I wanted to do was just make sure that every week I was tackling one part of the course, whether it was like mentally, physically, that I was working on something that was going to make me strong from, beginning to end. So I'd say about 7 or 8 weeks before the actual race, I started spending about half the week I would be in the desert, and then half the week I was back home. And when I was back home, I was just doing a lot of studying. I really believe in being a student, a lifelong student of anything that we're passionate about. And we can always be growing in anything that we do. And so, I'd watch a lot of YouTube stuff, whether it was science-based or inspirational or just, even just in running. I learned about heat, nutrition, and then it was just getting my body strong and ready for what I was about to, do.
So another thing for people who aren't aware of Badwater, it is slightly different than other ultras when it comes to crew and pacers. It's kind of almost a team effort, right? So maybe you can explain a little bit on how you picked your crew for this particular race.
Yeah, Badwater, there's not going to be aid stations. Not a lot of people are going to want to volunteer out there. So you pretty much have your aid station out there with you. And, for me, I've been in the sport for so long. I've learned the importance of choosing good crew. I think when I first started in the sport, I didn't think it was a big deal, like having a stranger just come and like pace me or just show up on race day or find somebody on Facebook that could like help me out. And sometimes that's the only choice that we have. And I'd say that overall, like, the ultra running community is so incredible that there's always people that want to help and want to be there for you. I think because of the harshness of this race, heat does a really funny thing to people, and it makes you really irritable. Heat makes you tired. It really does. It fatigues you much faster. And so I knew, just even based on those couple things, and then just the demands of knowing like, hey, can you stay up for 24, 25, 26, 27 hours straight? It really was going to be a very particular personality. And I'd say that the 4 people on my crew, they are pretty similar. And they got along so well. So that was big for me too, is like, I know that if you're spending a whole day in a car with somebody, you can't just like throw together whoever. So I discussed with all of them what the crew is going to look like. Dave and Colin have crewed and paced me for about a decade, and they know me so well. And they're like my big brothers. And so to have them out there, I didn't even have to think twice about the fact they just always knew what they're doing. They know how to speak to me when I'm not nice Sally, or when I'm like frustrated Sally, or tired Sally, or giddy Sally. Like, they know how to communicate with me to keep me going. And then Sarah, I've known her for a really long time too, almost 10 years. And she's an incredible athlete, amazing photographer, a very dear friend, insanely humble and kind, and my husband too, who knows me better than anyone on the planet. So I think the crew was important in choosing, because one, I really needed to make sure that the people in my group understood my goals that,
Yes.
and that they wanted to, that they actually supported me in that. I think
Yes.
it's easy sometimes, like sometimes people will be on a crew just because they actually want to be a part of the event. Like they don't always care as much about the runner, as hard as it is to say that. Sometimes it's just like, well, all my friends are going, I want to be there too. And and sometimes they can be a little bit lazy and like wanting to help, or they have ulterior motives. And so I was like, man, this is a hard ask, but like I really need to make sure that the people that are out there like really care about me and know how much how hard I've trained and how much this means to me. So, I don't think I could have put together a better crew. They were absolutely amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then it makes your life a little bit easier, you know, the training, the running, because you had to worry about your crew, you know, and each youth, wherever, you know, in a problem you got to solve, you know.
It's so true. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I've heard some stories, and especially even out there. Yeah. Especially at Badwater. It's kind of particular because, you know, they'll even the race director will say, Chris Kosman will say that every year there's even crew that need medical attention because they didn't do their training. Like they didn't heat train. They're not used to the, you know, the heat exhaustion. Like they just aren't handling the elements well. But then, like I said, like heat after a while, like people, when they think of heat, they're just like, 90 degrees, like 80 degrees or whatever. And you think of it like in a few hours. Like I can handle that for a few hours. Like, no. Like, can you handle it for an entire day? Like, and have no shade? Like, can you like be in that and
longer
and be
than a
supportive?
day?
Yeah. Can you be supportive and like be positive and energetic and on it and work in it? It's, you know, they all had to heat train too. I mean, it wasn't, you can't just like show up and crew and pace at Badwater. So I always do. And even when Sarah came out to photograph it, I asked her, I was like, will you please document the crew? Like, I want pictures of them all. And it was neat because like all the guys on my crew, like they don't like having their picture taken. They don't like, they never put themselves out in social media. They don't talk about themselves. Like they're just humble, like sweet guys. And so it was kind of comical for me too. I was like, please get them. Like, I love these guys so much. Like they are incredible men. They're very precious to me. And, and so it was neat to see the pictures out. She took over 1,500 pictures, but just to see what she documented and these guys working together, it was really cool. But yeah, it's
That's
very
why
much
you had such
effort.
good pictures.
The
crew is a professional photographer.
Sarah is amazing. Yeah, she does great work, and she does work for some she's a freelance, but she does work for some really big companies too, and she's very talented. It was a gift to have her.
So we're going to definitely get more too about your crew on later on, you know. So, but I want to know, we want to know, what were some key things you learned from 2018 at Badwater that kind of helped you in 2021 at Badwater?
Mm-hmm. You know, I'd say that the majority of what I learned in 2018 was more about mindset than it was like training. Cause I didn't feel, I think in 2018, I changed my training every year. It's just something that's fun for me. I always love like experimenting. So I knew I was going to train differently for Badwater, but I was very fit in 2018. I didn't, covering the distance wasn't a problem. I was well heat trained, all those things. I think in 18, as far as the physical part goes, I probably could have done a better job with the amount of electrolytes that I was taking in. I think it isn't like rocket scientists, like endurance athletes, we know we need to have electrolytes and carbs and calories and all that stuff. I think what I learned was that because the weather was so extreme, you can't fuel the same way you do in other, like in other races where it's not as hot. So I think I learned a lot about that, just I knew I needed a lot more salt and a lot more electrolytes, but
yeah.
I think everyone is different. And so I literally in my training was doing experiments on me. So I'd go and I'd find where it was 100 degrees one day, and I'd practice nutrition in 100 degrees. And then the following week I'd go find 115 degrees, and then I'd run in 125 degrees and 90 degrees. And it was different. I mean, what I needed and how I recovered and how I felt. I learned a lot about myself, and I was trying to do as much studying, and I would listen to professors talk about this topic. But most of the studies and things that were being done were cyclists. A lot of times it was the studies were done on cyclists that were riding indoors at 90, maybe 100 degrees, but they do tests on these guys for like 90 minutes. And I'm like, well, I think we can kind of like 90 minutes is very like the test is going to change once you go outside in the elements over 100 degrees and then put someone through something for 20, 30 hours. And so I really started to attach myself to the process. I really started to fall in love with the training because I was doing experiments on myself and learning so much about myself. And it became really fun. So 2018, I didn't do as much as that because I relied so much on the fact that I was a well-seasoned professional athlete. And I had already run so many tough races all over the world. Like, of course I'm going to do good. So I definitely went into it pretty prideful and just thinking that, I'm tough, I'm gritty, like I can kind of push through anything. I know how to feel, I know how to eat, like, and just had a lot so confidence. So then this year I went in with way more fear and respect.
You got to respect. So,
yeah.
Definitely. You got to respect the road, the hill. I learned a lot.
Heat.
My short time, running, learn to respect and know your body. You got to know what you can do. So, just like you say, I learned a lot. What not to take, what I could take, what work, what not work. But
and for you specifically, I think it's really easy when we go like on our weekend group long runs, we hang out with friends. And our topics are always the same. It's always like, what shoes are you wearing? Like, what electrolyte you got? Like, and
what are we eating after?
Yes, Izzy. Like, it's always like, and those are fun conversations. I love it because you learn so much. But I know for me, when I first started in the ultra community, it was like, I just kind of did what everyone else was doing. Like, I didn't know what to eat. So I ate stripple waffles because that's what Colin ate. We ate so many stripple waffles. I literally was getting cavities. Like, it was like my favorite. I'm like, we can run and eat cookies. Like, yes, like this is amazing. But over the years, I've learned like what works for one person doesn't work for the next. And it doesn't matter if they're a pro. And I tell this to people all the time because they're always like, what shoes do you wear? I was like, well, I'm going to be super honest with you. First of all, I have to wear Nike. Like, I'm not going to tell you that my shoe is the best shoe. I really love the shoes I do wear. And I designed some of them. So obviously it's like everything I wanted. And not all the shoes I like. So sometimes they send me running shoes. I'm like, these are not like, these don't work for me. But when people ask like, oh, what shoes you wear? I'm like, okay, first and foremost, I can only speak to Nike. That's all I've worn for 8 years.
Of course.
But at the same time, like, it's so, when it comes to gear, when it comes to eating and all of this, I always make sure to say like, this is what works for me, but just because I'm a pro doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Like you might hate this, or you might be barfing this up, or like, these shoes might just feel terrible around your ankle, or so that is the joy though for us as humans, is discovering who we are and how we talk. And it's so unique. It doesn't have to be like everyone else. And I think that we can appreciate that too. It should be exciting. Like, wow, that's awesome. You can do that, or that's awesome that you helped me see that I can do that too, or so there's a lot of fun in the research and the discovery of the individual.
I have a story about Nike, but I'll maybe save it for another time.
Okay. Leaving me hanging now.
I did try to compare Nike in my first half marathon race back 2015, 16. I tried to pair Nike's on, but hey,
Did it work out for you, Kenneth?
No, not really. He did.
Oh man. Which ones were they?
I mean, it was so long ago, you know. I mean, it was look nice, you know, Nikes, you know.
Yeah.
It was a road marathon race.
Okay.
I'm the half a marathon, you know.
Yeah.
In my first, maybe one of my first half marathon I've done since I started my transformation. But but I just like how I feel. It did not feel good on my feet. Maybe I should like wear it some more. Maybe I should give it a try. But I take it back to the store and I say no more Nikes for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so no, I love this conversation because when I was first endurance running, I loved all Nike clothes because I only bought stuff at secondhand stores and discount stores. That's just how I was raised. And so I love it when I found Nike stuff like at Marshall's or TJ Maxx. And I had this one pair of Nike tights. I mean, I kept them for like 8 years. It was like, that was my go-to. It's what I raced in when I first started doing ultras. But I have wide feet. And I always thought Nike shoes were too narrow. And I know a lot of people say this. So when they reached out to me, I went and bought the shoe myself. I didn't even know they made a trail shoe. I was like, what?
I know.
And they're like, dude, you can go get it at Sports Chalet. And I went down there and sure enough, there was this Nike Wild Horse 1 and it had a wide toe box. It was the same drop of the shoe that I was wearing. So it was a 4mm drop. And I was like, dude, this thing's awesome. I didn't know these things existed. So I actually did love the shoe before I'd even signed with them. But I was skeptical at first. I was like, I don't know if I can run in their shoes because I didn't even know they had trail shoes. So, but they come out with so many shoes. So
they do.
There's so many shoes, and they're they've been awesome in how they give out the gear and shoes to me. And so I've tried lots of shoes I love. And then some that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to pass these on to somebody else. But then they come out with another brand new shoe. It's crazy.
I've never tried their trail shoes either. I'm afraid of change, but I still get their tights.
They're tight. Their running tights are great. And you know what? I think when it comes to shoes, if you can find one that's good, it's great. Then stick to it. There's no reason to change it. But every single brand, they always end up either discontinuing it or a new designer comes in and they're like, let's change the last on this. You're like, no. That's when you go to Running Warehouse and you like buy the stock. You buy it all.
So I see you see that we promote in Nike right now. You see that, right? so they're hearing this, they can holler at me. I'm willing to try another pair of Nike.
Me too. I'm with you, Kenneth.
I will try now.
We're willing to give him a shot again.
I just be honest. That's all. No, I'm open.
I do wear the gym shoes. Every time I go to the gym to work out, I wear my Nikes.
Yeah.
But they have
like
outlets
the
now.
Are you talking about the Nike Free?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just the gym. Yeah. I have like 3 pairs of those for gym, but trail running, I don't know. I've heard good things about the trail running. I'm just afraid to change.
Hey, if you got good ones, stick with them.
Okay.
So I'm kind of going to combine my next 2 questions here because they kind of go a little together. So when you're training super hard for a race like Badwater or like UTMB or one of those, what's the biggest challenge you have in training? Do you have obstacles? Like, how is your family training work-life balance? Because, you are a mom and, I'm sure you have friends that aren't runners, the non-running friends. Like, how do you balance all that? Especially when you have such a big goal, like, hey, this is my A race. I have a goal of, winning it. Like, I'm not screwing around. Do you just ignore everyone and everything else for like 4 months? Right. Sometimes I lie to people and I'm like, oh, I got to work or I'm sick. And
then you forget and you're like Snapchatting on the summit. You're like, No, I definitely have a balance of, needing, I do tell people straight up, no, I can't go out for girls' night out, or I can't, just do this, which has been many years of that. I think when I was able to make this a career, it's my career. And so I have to treat it with that respect. This is, but I've always, worked in addition to running. I mean, I think, having 2 kids, It's always just kind of demanded a lot from me. And I do love to work. I run my own business, coaching, consulting, speaking, writing. And then I do a lot of contracted, like, consultant work for a lot of brands. So I feel like my schedule just anyway has always been very chaotic. I'm also an iFit trainer. And so I feel like many times, like, I'll start a new month and, I might have like 4 events in that month, but within a day, I could be asked to come onto a project, and then, like, can you fly here next week? And can you do this at the end of the week? And then we need you to do, and literally within hours, like, suddenly every day of my month is taken up, and every month is kind of like that. So I try to do a good job of planning stuff out months and months in advance. It doesn't always happen, but I'd say that my life, the typical week for me is it's 7 days a week. 12 hours a day that I am working on some part of my craft. And it's fun. It's a passion it's so much of what I do. I'm just so passionate and I love it. So it doesn't feel like a 9 to 5 job where I'm going to work. But I'll be honest, it is, I am very, scheduled, heavily scheduled, and having kids. When my kids were babies, especially, it was like my lifelong dream was to be a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I wanted to be there for them. I didn't want to miss anything. And so that was one of the reasons why I started my own business, is because I wanted to be at home with them. But then as I also wanted to pursue being a professional athlete, I knew that was something even my husband and I was like, dude, how are you going to do this? And I really just believe that we can always find a way that is unique to us. And I think that, so often I think being a new mom, I got caught up in like, well, my house needs to look like this, and I need to join that mommy group, and I need to do this. And it's like, I don't like any of that though. Like, that just isn't like me. Like, I know what I love. I know what our family needs. I know that at the end of the day, children need to be loved. They need to be seen. They don't need more stuff. They don't, so I just kind of started to formulate this, this way of our family that fit for us. And when it came down to putting my children first, it meant that I needed to be second and sometimes fifth during the day. So getting up at 4 a.m. Became just standard for me for many, many, many years. And training that started at 9, 10, even 11 o'clock at night was very common for me.
Wow.
It's not something that I'm like, that I tell everyone to do, but I also don't have a super high tolerance for very basic excuses. If someone says they don't have time, it's like, we all got 24 hours. Are you willing to get up at 4 a.m.? No, I'm not. Okay. Well, then don't tell me that you don't have time. There's some tough love for you. Because
that's tough love.
It's not easy getting up at 4.
I know it's not.
I don't jump out of bed and I'm like, let's go run.
I know.
Crawling, like, where's my coffee? I look like I got hit by a truck. Like, this is not fun. It's not pretty. It's always hard.
Yes.
It's uncomfortable. Yes. And that goes for a lot of things during our work week. We get into these uncomfortable situations, things we don't want to confront. We're tired. That's the way of every human, but it all comes down to the choice that we make. We're either going to do it or we're not. And so, juggling for, my schedule with my family is a day-to-day process. I think writing a to-do list the night before you go to bed is very powerful, because you already know as you go to bed what is expected of your day, and getting up at 4 a.m. is that much earlier, especially if you see that your list is like super long and you're like, I actually need to get up at 4 a.m. if I'm going to complete all this. So, discipline and dedication, I know that's kind of like a fading art, but it's true. I mean, to achieve anything great, we have to be disciplined. We have to dedicate ourselves to our craft and know that there is no shortcuts. And even what I'm sharing isn't a secret. I mean, you study any type of success book, psychology, any of that. It's you dedicate yourself and you discipline and you stay the course. So
And running at 4 a.m. or 10 p.m. at night, that's great ultra training anyway.
Right? Yeah. If you want to do hundreds one day, right?
Yeah.
I always say moms end up making the best ultra runners because you're up in the middle of the night, like feeding and changing diapers anyway. Like, yeah, I don't hallucinate. I see my kids. Like, it's like.
Now, do you have like safe places where you can run when you run late at night, or do you have plenty of friends to run with?
I love that you say that because I know not everyone has safe places to run. And that is very true. So I've lived in a few places and I've learned, and traveling a lot too. I'm like, whoa, this is not, I need to stay in my hotel room until someone comes and picks me up.
It's a treadmill day today.
Yeah, it's a treadmill, or it's like a HIIT workout on YouTube, like there's been that too, where it's like, okay, my workout's going to be strength today. It's HIIT and strength. And that's something, it's something better than nothing. So, when my kids were babies, and when I first started doing ultras, I was terrified of running on the trails. I was afraid of animals. And I was afraid of people. Like I thought there's always people in the bushes. Right. So I actually never even really ran on trails until I ran my first ultra.
Oh, wow.
It took me a few years before I kind of garnered up that strength. So I would do, circles in the neighborhood. Just around. And this one place that our one apartment that we lived in, the loop past the police station every time.
I'm still okay, guys.
So comfortable. I was like, I'm running around. I'm not very far from a cop. If something happens to me, the station's right there. And that was like 6 or 7 years. There's this loop that I would do like at 10 o'clock at night. Just over and over. But, and then, I always had a 24-hour gym pass. So that was nice too. So sometimes I would just go to the gym and I would run on the treadmill, because the gym was open all day and all night. So
Those are great tips. Yeah. Now when you work out from like 4 to 12 and you're working and training is part of your work, do you schedule naps during the day here? Because, recovery is just as important for what you're doing, especially strength training.
Yeah, absolutely. The naps are not so much. I'd say that I really don't have time for naps, but if I do go to, like, one of my sponsors is Sports Recovery Lab. Like if I go there, like sometimes I'll take a nap there, like in the Normatec boots or something like that. I'll sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. But for the most part, I get pretty good sleep at night. And so if I take a nap, it also needs to be within like a certain window. I feel like if I take a nap past like 1 o'clock, like it just like throws me off and I don't feel great the rest of the day. But if I'm going to take a nap, I'd actually rather take it like between like 10:30, 11:30 ish in the morning. Yeah. And then I feel a lot better. I don't know if that has something to do with the natural rhythm of our body, but it's still early enough in the day before noon that I feel good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man, I just got to take a nap, at the barber shop, that's the best nap to take.
It's relaxing, right? When they're doing your hair.
Oh yes. I just had to put that in for the
I love it. Wherever you can get it, Kenneth.
I know. Because waking up 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, it's tough.
Yeah.
So definitely much credit to you, So I guess the next question, I guess we ought to hit on this already, about how would your confidence level come into Badwater this year?
Wow. I think even the night before the race, I remember I was sitting in the room with my husband, Eddie, and he was like, Sally, he was excited to be there. It was his first time crewing and pacing, but I remember having this really good conversation with him, and I actually started crying because I was I know that nothing is guaranteed.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how hard I trained or and I don't believe in that idea that people deserve to win. I don't. I mean, I have so much respect for every person who stands at a start line. Don't we all deserve to have the day that we dreamed of?
Definitely.
And I don't think I'm more deserving than the next. And so for me, it was like, man, like I was so attached and so invested in it. I cared about it so much. I knew I did everything I possibly could to train my body, to train my mind.
Yeah.
But many times in my life, and I've been there before in my career where
Yeah.
I thought I trained really well and
Yeah.
things didn't go my way.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it was like a change in confidence as much as it was just a mindset. Like I was willing. I was far more willing and aware than I was the first year that I did it. And I was ready to take on anything that came my way.
Okay.
So a little bit braver.
I like that. Much more prepared, maybe just you just wanted to put yourself out there. You're going to embrace wherever the race gonna throw at you. Just like a life, just embrace whatever life gonna throw at you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. So, and like I said earlier, you want to get back to your crew. I know your crew is so important. So explain a little bit more if you can about your crew and how significant it was down for you in winning the race and just able to compete and all that, your crew. And also, I'm going to put it to both of your husband, have your husband there,
Would you hire your husband again to crew?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine kind of got fired.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Hey, I think doing anything with your spouse, I mean, everyone has very different relationships. I think Eddie and I, we've been best friends since we were 18, and we've worked in some capacity many times. We've had actually a lot of jobs together. I love working with him. He's hilarious. He makes me laugh. We're very different from each other. It's really funny. And I think that's actually probably why we get along so well, because we balance each other out. But he's very humble and patient and very kind, and he's very enduring. It was interesting having him out there because he had to be the one to put up with all of my bad intestinal issues. And I remember halfway through the race, just like apologizing, because I was like, I can't believe that you, like, this is your first time ever crewing and pacing me. And this is the experience that you're having. And he was just like, are you kidding me? Like, this is incredible being out here. You're doing amazing. And and just what that did for me, I felt like it took a little bit of a burden off of me. It helped me relax a little bit because I think because this is something that I do for a living, I tend to put a little bit of pressure on myself. And so for him just to have so much joy and excitement, to be so appreciative, just to be out there. I think for the entire crew, what we experience together will be my favorite thing is just it's memories that we'll have for the rest of our lives. It's like this really precious thing in our mind and in our stories that that connect us. I'm really grateful for that. So
that's awesome. Y'all can sit back where y'all get like in a rocking chair one day. And just remember them moments, So
that's
great.
Absolutely. Yes,
I have never seen so many runners throw up before at this race.
I know that it's funny you say that, Izzy, because I think sometimes people think, oh, like, if you're doing bad water, like you definitely are fit. You're running high mileage. Most people are running some pretty high mileage. You're training heat. Everybody does heat training, but the problem is it's next to impossible to avoid heat exhaustion. Like you're going to experience it on some degree. It doesn't matter how well heat trained you are, because you get to a point where your body is so tired of it. It's just like you're in full exposed for hours and hours and hours and hours, that it isn't because you didn't heat train or that you're not fit. Your body is done. And so I'd say that most people, they do struggle with their intestines at some point, and they do hit a low at some point that but everyone expects it. And I think too, that's why you just have so much respect for everyone on the start line. Cause we're like, hey, you ready to suffer? Like, you ready for this? Like, and you don't know when it's going to begin for anybody. You can feel amazing. And 5 minutes later, like everything terrible.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can understand. Even run like short, well, I'd say the short distance compared to the miles you run, my 2018 miles, I run on weekends, wherever. I could be yelling, screaming, motivating others, motivating myself, love it, hate it, embrace it, Yeah. And then at the end, I say like, oh, I can't talk. I don't want to talk.
I just, so tired.
I just want to get done. I can't.
Give me a burger. Yeah.
So.
Like, I was trying to explain the heat to someone, and it's like, even though I heat train too, and we live in San Diego, it's like perfect weather, but Kenneth will know, like I was going out there wearing rain jackets, and pants. Crazy. And still, once you step out at Badwater in that heat, it's just the first time stepping out of the car.
I know.
It's like you can't explain the feeling. Next level for sure.
It is. There's not a lot of places I've said this before too. When you try to explain it to people, they can only relate to the heat that they know. Because it's invisible. So it's like, if it's so easy when you look at somebody standing in the mountains in the snow, you're like, holy crap, it is freezing up there. Like it is so cold. No, thank you. Or however you feel about the snow, you can kind of relate to freezing cold. Like that they're in the snow.
Okay.
It's invisible. So when you just take a picture of someone in the sunshine and you say, hey, it's 80 degrees. Okay. But really, no, that's 130 degrees. It's really hard to connect. Like the change in temperature when it's still a person just standing on the street in the sunshine. Like it's trying to understand the difference even between 100 degrees and 110 is totally different. And then 110 to 115 is like night and day. It's like, that is next level. Once you pass like 115, it's just, you're dealing with a whole new beast in every way. But it's a unique race just for that.
That time, just bring some eggs with you and put in a road and let it fry.
Totally.
I think my crew did that the first year that we did it in 2018, or someone like next to us did, or something like that. Because it was like 160 on the road. So the heat coming off the ground was 160, and then it was 128 in the air. So, but the egg didn't cook. We were a little disappointed.
What?
I
know. Okay. Hey, well, I throw that out the window. What life lesson, I like to talk about life from running, do you learn from Badwater 135 2021?
Yeah. Oh man, life lesson. Well, there's so many. I shared a lot about the race afterward. And I think what was the most profound thing was really just connecting with how often in life we dream up things for ourselves, and we envision that in order for that thing to happen, in order for it to be great, that everything along the way needs to go as planned. Everything along the way needs to be smooth. It needs to be the way that we dreamed it, the way we hoped it. It needs to be good all along the way. And that isn't the case. I mean, there's a lot of great things at the finish line, but it takes us there's a lot of rough storms that we have to get through in order to get there. And so just embracing that idea is also then saying, okay, then I'm going to be courageous enough, I'm going to be brave enough, knowing that the journey is going to be stormy, but what's at the end is going to be worth it. Okay, I'm going to go. And I think we can apply that to every area of our life. Yeah. And just having a reason to start again. I mean, as a coach, and, I've traveled around the world quite a bit and have been able to interact and meet people and speak and go into areas where, people are broken. And sometimes it's because of one situation that happened in their lives. And it's that situation either, cause them to have fear, and that fear is now paralyzed them to moving forward, or maybe now they just don't have that confidence in themselves, or they think like, I was dumb to think that I could have done that anyway. So much that people need to understand is like your achievement in attaining a goal doesn't have to do with how smooth of a ride you had. All of it has to do with how you respond each day to real life. And real life many times is hard, and there's a lot of setbacks, and you are going to fail. Everybody does, because you're human. If you're perfect, that's one thing, but if you are a real human being and you're living an honest life, then you're going to have some hard days. You're going to have some challenges. And I think when you stand at a start line and you think in that way, when I did everything, I am so fit, I'm so ready, I have my gear, I got my electrolytes and my fuel, I got an amazing crew. Like it isn't then I deserve to have a perfectly smooth day. It's I'm armed, I'm ready, I'm equipped, I have everything that I need to face every storm that's ahead of me. And so it's kind of focusing more on how you are going to respond instead of focusing on your expectations. Because sometimes our expectations aren't healthy, and they actually deter us. Our expectations can deter us from reaching a dream and reaching a goal, because they're just not, either they're not healthy or they're not really wise. So, I like
well say, and like have your full armor on, like I like to take like a more spiritual aspect of it,
Yes.
And you have your full armor on.
Yes.
And you're ready for spiritual battle.
Yes,
just like,
absolutely.
Ready for the world, ready for the world will throw at you.
Absolutely, Kenneth.
And just,
I love that.
so definitely. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So to my latter side, James, now after you really run 135 miles, you don't vomit, throw up, puke, all that good stuff, So what was your first meal you ate after a race, and then the week after, what was you eating? What was you eating?
Right. So I am notorious for being so hungry after I finish a race. I love food, man. I'm already thinking, like, even in a race, I'll be thinking, oh man, I cannot wait for a cheeseburger, a pizza, like something. My favorite is a bacon avocado cheeseburger with sweet potato fries. Like that is just like, yes, cross the finish line, all the calories. But my stomach and my taste buds and my system is not typically ready after I do a really long race. I'm talking like 100 miles and further. So I finished this race. I was so hungry and I couldn't eat anything. So it was like smoothies. It was, I think I was able to get a milkshake down. I was like, I just need some calories. And then that night was the awards. And at the awards, they always have this great pizza. And I love pizza. Veggie pizza is my jam. I could have that every single night.
Veggie pizza?
Yeah. Really? I love other stuff too. I like the meat pizza as well, but I don't know what it is.
Man. Okay.
No.
How about Costco pizza? Costco pizza?
Costco pizza.
Yes, man.
Okay, Costco. You hated Costco.
I had like 3 pieces on my plate. I was so excited. And I took one bite and I had to run to the bathroom. It was like, I don't know if this is going to stay in me. I was so mad. I'm looking around. Everyone's like enjoying. I'm just like, oh, it's so unfair. Like I was so hungry. And so I think they had like Gatorades there. So I was drinking like Gatorade, just like, yay. It took me, so then the next day I really wanted donuts, and then donuts didn't happen. So it took 2 days before my system calmed down. So it was a lot of like really boring, bland food for the first 2 days. But I had that avocado bacon cheeseburger with sweet potato fries. I was eating pizza. I just kind of ate everything and anything for that week after. It was awesome. Okay, maybe a couple weeks after. Ice cream. I mean, all the things. So
that's awesome. Love it.
Which I think is good. Like in a training cycle, I try to be a little bit more purposeful about, each meal. Like I kind of know,
Yeah.
okay, I'm doing this run right now. So I need to, all right, I need like a big bowl of oatmeal with all the berries and all this. Okay. Okay. After this, I need this much protein. But like when I'm done racing, like I don't know how to think about that. I'm just like, just feed me. Like let's just eat.
But definitely. So that your excuse for running or that why you run so you can eat like that, you know.
Yeah. That's why I did bad water.
Yeah. So that your excuse and you stick it with it.
That's the real reason.
Yes,
I can feast for 2 weeks straight.
Definitely. You know, I love it. You know. So that's cool.
So there's a lot of people who follow you, you know, very inspiring. I know the speech you did after Badwater, it like gave me goosebumps, like little things like that. You have a big following, and it really like touched me when you mentioned how this was a 10-year dream for you to win Badwater. And it's like, wow, like that's incredible that you didn't give up, you know? So for those people that are like watching this and listening, for those that may have a dream of running Badwater or another super crazy race, like you've done UTMB, you've done Western States, what advice would you give them? Like, what are some tips?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing is really understanding that your journey to your dream is supposed to fit you, and that it's unique, and that's actually what makes it so wonderful.
Yes.
I know in my youth, I would get discouraged, like, especially as I was pursuing a more like soccer career, I got discouraged because I didn't have like the same opportunities that some of my teammates had. And I didn't have the funds to do things, you know, get the trainer, be on the club team. Like, and so I was so discouraged, and I just thought, man, there's no way that I'm going to be able to achieve this because it's not working out the way it's working out for her. And I think that is, you know, the wrong way to go about your dreams. Your dream is unique to you, just as you are unique. And if you stay the course, even in the face of setbacks. So, you know, life happens. And so, yeah, you lose a job, you lose a family member, you know, there's so many things that change the course of our day and our schedule that we're like, man, I had that training and I now I can't do it. And I don't even know why I plan to do this race. And it's just not working out for my schedule. And then it becomes a source of frustration. And I speak to new moms about this all the time because I remember I was in the same boat. My kids are very close in age. They were in diapers when I started training for my first ultra, and everyone was always like, okay, well, obviously you're not a good mom. Like I had some really bold people that were just like, obviously you don't, because what I was doing would never work for them. And so we kind of project that out on other people, and then we project it on ourselves. And it's just this cycle of negativity. So I think that was where that journey started. I was like, well, I'm just going to find a way. And so when you are working towards a dream, you're finding a way within the unique journey that you're on. And it's important to remember too, that if it doesn't work out the first year, that doesn't mean it wasn't supposed to work out at all.
Yes.
It just means that the second year might be better, or the third year, or the fourth year. And in my case, it was 10 years. And, you know, there was a lot of things that I was doing that I knew I had to do first to even qualify for that race. So even that first year, I didn't qualify. I could have a dream, but you know what? I needed to put my hand in the plow and do the work. And I think sometimes, you know, we live in a society that doesn't want to do the work. We don't, you know, we want results right away. You know, if we sign up and we work with a trainer, I want to know that I got the muscle tone, I lost the weight within 3 weeks. I want to look like this. It's like, well, actually that person trained for 5-6 years to look like that, or like to do that, or to make that team, or to turn pro, or like, it's a long journey. And the patient, dedicated, disciplined work is, you know, many times the way that you can rejoice the most, because you realize that was the right path, and you learn so much along the way too. So I'd say for those that are working toward a dream, don't ever give up. You will have more people oppose you than will support you. And that couldn't be more true. I know in my life, at the end of all of it, it was very few people that stood by me and supported me every step of the way. You know, you have people that come and go, or show up when things are exciting, or show up only when you're successful, show up only when you get signed, or, you know, and I think that And that's normal, just human
Yeah.
nature. We like to get behind things that are exciting.
Mhm.
We don't like to get behind the unexciting, boring stuff. And that's the
Yeah.
quiet work, the mundane work that you do day in and day out, but you got to stay the course. And I'd also say too, working toward a dream. I mean, there's a lot of inspiring stories out there. One of my favorites is Walt Disney. I mean, the guy went bankrupt 5 times. Like, I'm sorry, like me personally, even today would say like, hey, after one time, it's not happening.
I know.
But 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times, really? I mean, that's just, but in his mind, I mean, if you read his story, it's so inspiring because he's like, no, like since I was a kid, this is what I wanted. This is what I dreamed. I wanted to make it happen. And even when his family rejected him and was like, no, like, this is stupid. What are you doing? He stayed the course. And now look at what Disney is in the whole entire world. Right.
Yeah.
And you look at people like Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan. I love Michael Jordan. He's one of my favorites. And Kobe Bryant, even. Kobe Bryant. Do you know his story? He went to summer camp as a 12-year-old. He didn't make one basket, all of summer camp for basketball camp.
Yeah.
And he was really upset. And his dad's like, you just got to work harder. And so he did. And it's just, we always think that these great, these successful, achieving people, that it was easy right away. But the common thread is that they refused to give up. They refused to believe. And they were okay with people criticizing them. They were okay that they didn't have a lot of people supporting them. They were okay that it didn't happen the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time. They kept going. And so, and anybody can do that. That's for anyone. I've told my daughter this before, last year she was kind of struggling with shin splints, and I reminded her, I'm like, it's more important that you take care of those shin splints than you try to race on them, because it isn't always the fastest people that are on the start line. It's people that take care of themselves. And it's so true with so much in life. It's like we can injure ourselves, we can get hurt, and we think, well, I'm just going to push through this way it is. I'm going to run injured. It's like, no, sometimes there's seasons where you have to be patient. You take a step back and you wait until you do things the right way, and then you can keep moving forward. And so, I think that there's a reason why it's called a dream journey. You hear that often, like, what's your dream journey, or what is your life journey? It's supposed to have all the seasons, and the goal is just to keep moving forward.
Awesome. Well said.
I love that.
Oh man,
There's still hope for me.
100%. What are you talking about? There always was.
It's still hope for me,
for everyone.
Because sometimes your journey or your dream could change over time. Sometimes you don't find out what your dream is until you get older in life. Find out your purpose, your passion, until you get later on in life. And just for me, I'm not going to talk about me, but but just sometimes it take a while. Sometimes you got to go through a process. You got to go through in life. Where you seem like it could be a mistake. And probably not a mistake. It's something you probably had to go through. In order to reach your purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think everything can be used for good.
Yes.
I got Kenny to sign up for his first 50 miler. So
I love it. See?
And I'm signed up for my first 100. So I'm like,
that's good. Nerves are good. It means you care.
We got this, Kenny. We got
this. Yes, we got this. Definitely. We got to support one another, So
I love it.
Yeah. So definitely. I know you got one more.
One more. Just a couple more questions. What's next for you? And are you going to go back to Badwater next year, or what's next for you later this year?
Yeah, I had 2 mountain races planned. I was supposed to do TDS, UTMB, and then I thought I couldn't give I did not give an honest training cycle in the mountains for it, and I really wanted to. And I've done UTMB five times.
Okay,
and I have a lot of respect for that course. I have a lot of experience out there. TDS is, I'd say, inch by inch the toughest of all the races, because the terrain is a little bit less traveled. So it's a more technical, bigger mountain course. And I thought, you don't just show up I know I was fit enough to go and do it, but so I didn't do that. And then I was slated to do Run Rabbit Run in a few weeks, but I don't think I'm going to do that either. I'm kind of looking forward at October through December. So I have some races that I'm deciding through, but I'm doing a trail camp, and then I'm working on a strength training program for endurance athletes that I'm going to be releasing pretty soon. So so working on a lot of projects right now. And then just training for what's ahead in the fall.
Cool.
So are you hosting the camp?
Yeah, so I do.
Feel free to talk about it.
I know. Yeah. So the trail camps, I've been doing those for like 5 or 6 years. This one is in North Carolina. It's the second week of October. So if you just put in Sally McRae Trail Camp, it'll pop up. But it's super fun. Those are like, my camps are really laid back. They're all about community. And so
I love it.
we have beautiful runs. I've got 4 to 5 coaches. So everyone runs together. We go swimming. We go into the town at night. We go to breweries, live music.
Oh man.
We sit by the campfire. A couple of my coaches play guitar and banjo. And so we sing songs at night. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds super fun.
What part in North Carolina? What part in North Carolina?
Just outside of Asheville. In the Blue Ridge Mountains right there.
Okay. I know it nice. I mean, I'm from South Carolina. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I live in Charlotte, North Carolina for a few years. By now it's spending time in Asheville. But I know Asheville is nice. I've been in the woods. I've been in the mountains.
I love the Carolinas. It is just, it's beautiful.
You got some of the best pork pulled barbecue also.
Yes.
Bradley in South Carolina. So I'm putting it up more in my friend Scott Barbecue, Ronnie Scott Barbecue. So I put it out there. So
I love barbecue.
If you get a chance to go to South Carolina, go get some Scott Barbecue.
Okay, I love it.
So I represent from it. I'm a homegrown, homeboy.
I love it.
So I just being silly, but but I'm being silly, but I'm being for real. We got some bad pit pulled pork. So I get pulled pork barbecue.
I love it. Yeah, I love pulled pork too.
Oh yeah, so
pulled pork sandwich.
Yeah.
So good.
About a pound, an ounce, man. I mean, the pork skin. Right? I know her stomach is turning right now because I don't eat pork. But and crackling. I could go. I ain't gonna talk. I know
you go on. Look I'm making you hungry. You're getting hungry now.
I know. You're gonna start
drooling. So good, right?
I know. I take all your time, and also I apologize for that. No. Thank you for that. Thank you for everything. But I do have one more final question. Yeah. I asked you that in the last interview. I want to know if it changed or not. So do you have a new boundless thought or motivation to share? I kind of put you in the spot there.
A new boundless thought or motivation to share?
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm kind of hanging on that be courageous.
Okay, that's
kind of
cool.
like my is my thing. I think being courageous it's not about, being tough or gritty. It's about allowing yourself to feel and experience everything that's in store for your life and not being afraid of it.
Yes.
So knowing that's in front of you and still going anyway.
Okay.
So.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah. I love it.
That's great. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Izzy.
Thank you. That was awesome.
It was so fun.
Definitely. So I hope I can end this correctly on this my first live interview on Live Run Boundless show. Thank you, Izzy, for joining me on this, for helping a brother out. Because I did need the help. So definitely thank you. Miss Sally, thank you for just taking the time. I know you're busy schedule for allowing me another opportunity to interview you. It would have been great. Hopefully one day we could meet in person.
I know. We don't live very far from each other.
Yeah. So definitely. So that'd be an excuse for me and my wife to go to Oregon. Kind of been in Oregon. Yeah, you live in Oregon, right? So I've been out there. So hey, so definitely thank you again. And thank you, Live Room Balance family. If y'all still here viewing to watch this live, show. Thank you for joining us on this first ever live show. Hopefully, got more to come. And hope I can end this correctly. And we see each other again until next time.
Bye.
Yes, yes.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.